Welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you news from the Ridgecrest Planning Commission, Kern County Fire, IWV Water News, today's KZGN Talking Points editorial, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Whitnick. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. Well, the Ridgecrest Planning Commission met last Tuesday evening. At the meeting, they approved a modification to the Ridgecrest Municipal Code allowing chickens and other fowl in residential districts. Next, the recommendation goes to the City Council for approval. Animal Control Supervisor Mary Stage and Animal Control Officer Candace Robb were there to answer questions. The revisions also better define the housing of all pets such as dogs and cats as well. However, the controversial part of the section allowing up to 4 chickens in a residential district. This means that if approved by the council, you could have up to 4 chickens in your backyard. Or even better put, if you don't have chickens, your neighbors could have up to 4 chickens in their backyard right next to you. This change will even allow them in the smallest residential backyards. While the code revision does have guidelines for cages and cleanliness, the code would still have to be enforced by animal control officers. Public comment was generally against the revisions allowing chickens, while supporters tried spinning it off as chickens can become pets, just like dogs and cats. Well, I've known people to get very attached to their farm animals. They treat them as pets too, so I guess a family cow would be good. Even the mayor and vice mayor got up and asked questions as citizens. It was strange that the 4 commissioners attending just seemed kind of indifferent and just wanted to pass it and send it to the council to deal with. So the modifications will go to the council sometime soon. We'll have more on this story before it goes to the council. In news from Sacramento, the Department of Water Resources has made preliminary identification of 21 groundwater basins and subbasins that have been significantly overdrafted by excessive pumping and thus fall into the earliest deadlines required by groundwater management laws enacted last fall. The Indian Wells Valley is on that list of critical overdraft basins. Overdraft impacts include seawater intrusion and lead subsidence in addition to lowered groundwater levels. DWR presented its draft findings at a California Water Commission meeting in Los Angeles. The same day, the department released a new NASA report showing land in the San Joaquin Valley is sinking faster than ever previously recorded due to groundwater pumping. This is not the first time DWR has identified critically overdrafted basins. Working with local agencies, DWR identified such basins in 1980 and 2003 as described in Bulletin 118. Reports issued those years. Bulletin 118 is a comprehensive report on California groundwater resources that is periodically updated by DWR under a package of historic groundwater management laws enacted by Governor Brown in September of 2014. The basins identified by DWR as significantly overdraft must have groundwater sustainability plans in place less than 5 years from now. The Sustainable Groundwater Management Act requires all Bulletin 118 basins designated as high or medium priority and subject to critical conditions of overdraft to be managed under a groundwater sustainability plan or coordinated groundwater sustainability plans by January 31st of 2020. 2 years earlier than other high and medium priority basins. Local agencies not in agreement with DWR's identification of critically overdrafted groundwater basins will have an opportunity next week to ask questions and make comments at a public meeting in Fresno. So this remains a very important topic. Now in fire news, the Kern County Fire Department continues to keep busy right here in the valley fighting fires. There was a fire of a mobile home out in Inyokern. Last Tuesday night, the fire was reported in the 1100 block of North Everett Street. The sole occupant got out okay, but the home is a total loss. The fire was suspected to be caused from an unattended cigarette. The Red Cross is helping the owner find new housing. Then the fire department had a couple vehicle and brush fires to handle. They had a truck fire at the corner of South Helena and West Wilson. The truck was a total loss. As an associate story to the house fire caused by unattended cigarette, how about this story? The California legislature has proposed an increase to the state's tax on cigarettes. The proposal would raise the tax $2 per pack of cigarettes. Supporters believe raising the tax would encourage more people to quit smoking and lead a healthier lifestyle. There is no report as to where the increased tax revenue would be spent. This would be the first increase since 1998. Now a reminder that the parade of 1,000 flags is coming real soon. The parade will be on Saturday, September 5th and start at 9 a.m. The Ridgecrest Exchange Club, in partnership with China Lake, will join our nation in commemorating the 14th anniversary of the tragedy of 9/11. This is the 12th year that the local Exchange Club has sponsored the 9/11 Remembrance Field. This will be the 8th year for the parade. The growing enthusiasm for this spectacular event and fervor of patriotism of this community has captured the interest of dignitaries and folks from other communities near and far. The parade route will remain the same as last year. The 3/4-mile route begins at the Sierra Lanes parking lot, goes north on China Lake Boulevard, then west on California Avenue past City Hall into Freedom Park. The parade will be staged on the north side of the Sierra Lanes parking lot, probably at 8:30 a.m. Saturday, more than 1,000 flag bearers will post their flags at Freedom Park, followed by a brief ceremony honoring our wounded warriors, firefighters, and law enforcement, emergency and military personnel. Parade participants will include China Lake, city and county dignitaries, law enforcement personnel, firefighters, military personnel, and the Burroughs High School Band. Young and old will want to be part of this meaningful patriotic experience. Contributing to this inspiring event at Freedom Park, flag bearers will become a choir of 1,000 voices singing God Bless America. The 1,000 flags will remain posted in the park through Saturday, September 12th. The traditional candlelight vigil will be held at dusk on Friday, September 11th at Freedom Park. We will arrange for children of all ages to participate in the parade with appropriate flag sizes. Children in strollers are welcome. To volunteer as a flag bearer, call 760-371-4301. Call now to participate in this great event. Again, this is a parade in remembrance of the lives lost in the 9/11 attacks in New York. Now stay tuned for KZGN's Talking Points editorial when we come back. Welcome back. Now it's time for the 70-second KZGN News Talking Points editorial. Here's today's topic. Was Trump out of line throwing out Univision reporter? But first, a comment from the last editorial titled, Who's to Blame for the $750,000 Budget Error? I changed the way I formatted that editorial. I had received comments from some folks about the topic on the KZGN Facebook discussion site, and the mayor had responded to the comments. So for this editorial, I printed their discussion back and forth. Then I provided my opinion on the matter. The bottom line came down to whether the city government can provide a reasonable explanation as to how the budget mistake happened, and then show the people that a thorough investigation was done and corrective actions taken to try and avoid a reoccurrence. And again, it comes down to that word of transparency. Sharing with the people what you know and be candid in what was done. Thanks to Ethan and Mayor Breeden for their participation. Now tonight's editorial. Was Trump on a line throwing out Univision reporter? Last Tuesday, Donald Trump held a news conference after a campaign appearance in Iowa. As the conference started, Trump took the podium and called on one reporter to ask his question. But as he called on one reporter, Jorge Ramos from Univision jumped up and started yelling out a question. Trump controls his news conferences by calling on reporters. Apparently Ramos didn't want to play by the rules and was rude and combative. The AP reports that Ramos was mad at Trump for not granting them an interview with him in Univision when Trump was in Florida. So Ramos had to follow Trump to Iowa. He's a bully reporter that got put down. Trump told him to sit down. He refused and continued to interrupt the other reporter. Trump again told him to sit down. He didn't. Trump told him to go back to Univision and get out. Ramos continued his attack, so Trump had his security throw Ramos out. I believe Trump did the right thing. If you remember just a couple weeks ago, the Democrat candidate for president, Bernie Sanders, actually got run off a stage at one of his events by the Black Lives Matter group. I mean, Sanders finally left these bullies to take over the meeting. Shortly after that, one reporter asked Trump what he would do if that happened to him. He said he would not let that happen and that he would deal with it right there. So now we have Trump declaring he is going to control his appearances. Do you think Hillary's people would let anyone take over her appearance? I doubt it. I hear she has more security traveling with her than any other candidate. So here is Trump at his news conference. He's going to run it the way he wants to. Hey, he has a right to do so. Now, some liberal pundits have started spinning this against Trump. No surprise there. They are saying Trump disrespected Ramos by telling him to go back to Univision. They are translating that to saying go back to Mexico. It should be made known that Ramos did immigrate from Mexico and did become a U.S. citizen. Ramos supporters are also saying Trump just didn't want to answer the hard immigration questions. That wasn't it at all, because later, after Ramos was told that he'd have an opportunity to ask his questions if he would just wait until called on, which he apparently agreed to, he was let back into the room. Finally, Trump did call on Ramos, and he got to ask his questions. Even during this questioning, he tried to run over Trump while Trump was answering the question. Ramos really just wanted a platform to vent against Trump. If he had really wanted to get answers to his questions, he would have asked the question and then shut up. Instead, he would ask the question, Trump would start to answer, then Ramos would try and interrupt and answer the question or expand the question. Over and over, Ramos did this. And to hear the liberal pundits try and spin this as Ramos was a hero for confronting Trump is really a joke. They are trying to make Trump out as a bully. Ramos, who is known as a bully reporter on immigration issues, was put in his place and he didn't like it. Nor did the pundits that are really upset with Trump's stance on illegal immigration. Most candidates pandered to Ramos, but Trump had no inclination for that. The news conference is the candidates to run the way they want to run it. Heck, look at Hillary's staged news conferences. Her team only lets in certain people, attendees are almost always screened beforehand, and she usually knows what questions are going to be asked before she takes the stage. Yet the media offers no concern over that control. But when a Republican controls his conference, it's a bad guy bully. And again, Trump did let Ramos back in, and he got a chance to ask his questions. Trump did not back down, and Ramos is no hero. So after 2 days of liberal complaining about Trump, today's polls have him again steady or even slightly going up again. While critics keep saying Trump needs to learn the proper way to politic, he keeps doing it his way. And more people are jumping on the Trump bandwagon. The people want a fighter that isn't afraid of anyone and says what he really thinks. And he is not going to let the media run his storyline. Some pundits keep saying the more Trump gets attacked, the more he fights back. The critics don't seem to get it. Every time you attack him, he steps up the response to the next level. He won't back down. And by the way, I can't wait for Biden to get into the Democrat campaign. That'll bring some interesting news from the Democrats. And to those that keep asking Trump for specifics on how he is going to deal with China, North Korea, Iran, and Russia, well, you're seeing it. No nonsense, no back down. In conclusion, Trump has the right to run his appearances the way he wants. Actually, all the candidates have that right. If the media doesn't like it, too bad. But I say, good job, Trump. Don't let these reporters bully you. I'm Tom Whitnick, and that's what I think. I'd like to know what you think. If you have any comments or questions about this editorial, or would like to discuss or recommend a topic, I'd like to hear from you. Please email them to info@kzgn.net. Now stay with us for weather and sports when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to Keith for the weather.
Thank you, Tom. From the National Weather Service, showers and thunderstorms are expected across parts of the Midwest and Central Plains. As much as 3 inches of rain could fall in some areas, which could lead to flash flooding. Showers and thunderstorms are also possible across parts of the Southeast. Temperatures across the nation. Carolinas came in at 78, Georgia 81, Colorado 84, New Mexico 78, Arizona 105, and Los Angeles at 80. For our forecast here in the IWV, tonight mostly clear with a low around 74, west-southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday sunny and hot with a high near 105, southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday night mostly clear with a low around 73, west-southwest wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday, sunny and hot with a high near 102. West-southwest wind, 5 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20. Saturday night, partly cloudy with a low around 72. West-southwest wind, 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 25. Sunday, mostly sunny and hot with a high near 100. Southwest wind, 5 to 15 miles per hour. Sunday night, partly cloudy with a low around 69. Breezy with a west-southwest wind, 10 to 20 miles per hour. And Monday, mostly sunny with a high near 99, south wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. And on this day, our record-setting high was in 2001 at 111 degrees. The record-setting low was in 1990 at 54 degrees. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom and the rest of the KZGN News.
Thanks, Keith. Now, Tom Heck with sports.
And a very pleasant Thursday afternoon to everyone. Let's start talking right now about Burroughs football. Burroughs football tomorrow night opens up at home 7 o'clock against Palmdale. Now, if you can't get out to the game, you can tune in on 12:40 a.m. KLOA. Pregame starts at 6:45. The freshman team and the JV team, the freshman team will play today on Thursday, and they will have their games at 3:30 and 5:30 over at the high school. Come on out and support the freshman and JV football teams over at Burroughs. Okay, volleyball just about getting ready to start it over at Burroughs along with tennis. And then up at Saracoso College, the volleyball team coached by Kim Young in her now 4th year at the helm here at Saracoso. They begin their season Friday night at 6 p.m. up at the McHugh Center at Saracoso College. They'll take on Southwestern from San Diego. Then on Saturday, they'll travel down to the Bakersfield area to play against Taft. Volleyball season here already. All right, Major League Baseball, the Dodgers, 2 in a row against the Reds, 5 of 6 on the season against Cincinnati. The Dodgers win last night in Ohio, 7-4. Yusel Puig hit a 2-run homer, his 11th of the season, and now the Dodgers have a 3.5 game lead over the San Francisco Giants. Same two teams playing today. All right, let's talk about the Chicago Cubs. Right now, the Cubs on all cylinders, playing great baseball. Another win over the Giants. The Cubs will play the Dodgers this weekend, 3 games down in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, the Giants will have to host St. Louis. So this might be the weekend. If the Dodgers play real well, they can put some space between themselves and the Giants, because the number 2 team's not going to go anywhere. Wild card's going to come from that Central with Pittsburgh and Chicago. Houston wins again, 2 out of 3. They beat the Yankees now, so they go into New York, win 2 or 3 of the games there. Houston in first place. They're now 5.5 over the Angels and 5 over Texas. Both the Angels and Texas lost last night. Let's talk about Seattle. They beat Oakland again, 2 in a row for the Mariners. The Mets, maybe the hottest team in all the National League, beat the Phillies. The Mets have a 6-game lead now over the Nationals, who lost to the Padres. All right, Colorado gets another win. Atlanta's lost 7 in a row now. They beat the Braves. Baltimore gets a win. They finally break a losing streak. Baltimore still, though, in the hunt for a wild card team. Boston and Cleveland also get wins on Wednesday. Okay, the Angels were shut out in Detroit on Wednesday night. Justin Verlander had a no-hitter through 8 innings, and Verlander got his 2nd win of the season. Now remember, he was out for a good chunk of the season. Verlander has struggled, though, against the Angels. Career-wise against the Halos, he picked up his 5th win against 6 losses. That's the first victory for Detroit against the Angels in the last 9 games, going back to last year. The Angels had swept the first 5 games of the season this year against Detroit. Okay, UCLA, they have named a starting quarterback. They're going to take Josh Rosen. He is a true freshman. So they're going to have a lot of young folks playing for UCLA this year. Football season's going to roll around next week. It's going to get exciting. One of the big games next week in college football will be Jim Harbaugh's debut with Michigan when they take on highly ranked Utah. So it's going to get fun in a hurry. That's your sports for this Thursday. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's some news for today. Office of KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. Coming up next, Ridgecrest Talk.